How much do you think luck matters?
We made 42 airports. Dukh taru, sukh rog pya, ja sukh tamna. When I put up the industry, there was no telephone there.
Even when you have to pay them, they don't accept it.
How can he misbehave with his wife when she's also equally competent? Woman also does a heavy job of producing children.
What are the things that Gurgaon did right?
In 1984, there were riots and our house was burned. This country is full of opportunities. At that time, you're lost is lost is lost is lost.
Some people spend a lifetime mastering one business. Today's guest clearly thought, why stop at one? As a first-generation entrepreneur, he built the illustrious Bakshi Group across industries as different as real estate, hospitality, automotive, defense, and infrastructure. Which means we have a lot to talk about. It is with great pride that I welcome Mr. Amarjit Bakshi. Namaste, sir. Welcome to Happy Alien Life.
Thank you.
So, you are a IIT graduate, engineering graduate. How did you get into business?
My father was a company executive in insurance. We didn't have any business in our blood. My grandfather was also a serviceman, a police in the police in Pakistan. But from the very childhood, I had thought that I will do business. And during the IIT days, we used to dream a lot. When I say we, means a few of us, that we have to do business. So when I started my career, I worked in an English company for 3.5 years. Here I could understand what the construction equipments, well, this company was selling imported equipments in India for construction industry. That's how I moved into the road construction, where I fabricated my own equipments like hot mix plants and paver finishers. And that was the start of the career.
You just spoke about how, your family was from Pakistan and they must have migrated here.
Yes.
And something very interesting about families who have migrated from Pakistan to India, they're extremely resilient, very hardworking. They have built things from scratch. Do you think that shaped your worldview?
I remember in my childhood, we had very hard days. And those are the days when the culture was such that we used to welcome the guests. So at any given time, we had 2-room apartment with 1 toilet. And at any given time, there were many guests. And we used to eat simple food. My parents welcomed them all. With a smile, they used to welcome them. And there was a lot of emphasis on education. My mother particularly, but my father also. Very, very strong emphasis on education.
तो एक इंसान की सक्सेस में एजुकेशन कितना इम्पोर्टेंट रोल प्ले करता है सर?
Education and character. Character is a bigger role. And then personality inside, which means enthusiasm and the passion which you have. Now, education definitely sharpens the mind, clears the mind, and people accept you better. And definitely education is an education. It educates you. It gives you time to think. You are studying subjects which are no relevance, but it sharpens your mind.
पर जैसे एक बिजनेस में सक्सेसफुल होने के लिए, do you think you need a degree like MBA?
I will not put it like that. I'll say in business के लिए सबसे essential thing is experience. You must know the line. Number 1. Small amount of capital, depending on where you want to start. And thereafter, your character comes into play. Because in business, you deal with your customer. The customer is your God. If you respect him internally, he reverts back to you. And that's how the diameter of your sphere keeps increasing.
You speak about character. What do you exactly mean?
When I say character, there is a machine God has provided to everybody in him called conscious. How much you listen to it, how much you respect.
Isn't
and
it
you know
hard?
what is the right thing to be done. If you don't get tempted by small gains and listen to what it says, it's called character.
But is it easy, especially when you're doing business?
In business, it's very simple. Any big business cannot grow without the character of the person behind it. A dishonest person cannot make very big business. Without exception, I'm saying. I'm not talking about the second generation. The first generation, people who have created the business.
See, you yourself are a first generation businessman, right? And that takes a lot of sacrifice, a lot of hard work, a lot of time away from family. So actually I have two questions to that, and you can answer it as you like. How was that phase when you did it? And what is the difference between a first generation businessman and somebody who has inherited a business?
It cannot be generalized.
Of course.
Sometimes second generation
Good.
is superior to the first generation. They are definitely smarter than us. Next generation. Better education, better upbringing. In some ways, I find they are more straightforward than us.
But do you think they can afford to be straightforward because they come from that backing, which the first...
It depends on case to case. It cannot be generalized. Parents have a lot to do with the child's growth in terms of imbibing character. For example, we were taught how to behave with servants by demonstration. People with very meager resources, but if after the lunch or dinner there was a dessert, first bite was taken out for the help. And it was known to us that first for the servant, then the leftover has to be distributed between all of us in equal sizes, proportions. Those were the days when large quantities were not available of anything. And if we got egg once in a week or once in a day, there was similar egg airback for the servant also. If you got milk, he also got milk. So this indirectly, and nobody was allowed to talk rough with them. They had to go respectfully to them. So we learned that people working for you are not less than you. You have to be polite. For example, my father always addressed my mother with G.
So sweet.
So we saw that why did he say everything to G? It's not simple. So we all watched how to behave with the lady of the house. And then he was polite with the servants. My mother also became very helpful wherever it was required. So children are not to be taught. They watch the parents. They don't do what parents tell them to do. They do what they see the parents, but they do what the teacher tells them to do. If the teacher tells them that Sensodyne toothpaste is very good, he will go home and tell. But if mother says that you must brush your teeth, etc. at night before you're going to bed, it will have a different impact. Till he sees that his own mother and father both are brushing their teeth themselves. And if he watches that if there is a call from outside and father is telling that please tell them that I'm not at home. The child is watching.
True.
Mother doesn't realize. Father doesn't realize. But if the vice versa is there, regardless of how embarrassing it is, he'll say, I either take the call or tell them I'll call back after 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And then he holds it into his mind that I promised to make a call, I have to make a call. So these things child observes. This is a deeper education than the education in the school.
I agree.
Education in the school begins with literacy, how to read and write. And then it comes with little higher and higher. Then we also go into different directions like trigonometry, etc. A few subjects which we never learn in life. Never. But education in any form has a lot to do. It hangs with you.
I think parents imbibe wisdom.
Yeah.
And they lead by example, is what you're saying. What you're saying is deeply inspiring. And not many people follow this, as you must know.
There is another thing is one is, as I said, experience, then a reasonable capital and character, and there is no substitute to hard work. That there is no substitute. No substitute.
So what about people who are becoming billionaires at 19? They have these
19, at the age of 19.
19, 20, they sell this app.
These are rare cases because of this.
Or millionaires even.
Very, very rare cases. In business, clean business, these cases are not known. This is the new IT sector which has come and share values go up and things like that. Very, very rare case. It cannot be generalized. For generalizing, for doing business, experience, small amount of capital, good character, respect for money, and hard work.
So you have carried all of this forward?
I won't say what I've carried or not carried, but one is that I enjoyed my work, which I continue doing now. Unless you enjoy it, it's not the lure for money which makes you work. The work in itself has a lot of, it's a therapy for many things. It fulfills you in more than one ways. It gives you satisfaction. And the profit is a byproduct.
Interesting you say that, because people usually chase money and they feel that business is the byproduct.
Money is definitely the barometer. The balance sheet is a barometer of success. But when people work, including you yourself or she, basically, it's not only the money, how much you like your job. What prompts her to come to work every morning, if she searches inside, it is not that she is awaiting her salary on the first. It is that she likes her job, she's looking at growth, she likes getting dressed and coming to the office, meeting people. She has an agenda for the day. And if somebody tells her that, look, stay at home, you'll use so much of money, maybe more. Isn't it?
So do you think money can buy happiness?
Lack of money can take away your happiness, but money cannot.
It can make your life less miserable, of course.
My father used to say there are only two problems on this earth with a human being. One is health. If health is not there, there is no answer. Second is reasonable amount of money, enough to keep him going, where he doesn't have to go hungry or beg for it or any such thing, or he is not able to pay the bills. Reasonable amount of money. He says any other problem, he says is a problem, then it's weakness of his mind.
As you said, you love your work. That is the fuel, right? I'm sure there must be a phase in your life where you thought, I'm not feeling it.
You see, when you work, you are not getting success after success. You are encountering failures. Failure after failure after failure and failure. This persistence is also called grit. It's a very essential form, very essential ingredient for your lasting success. There's nobody who gets success right away.
What about your failures?
Oh, full of failures. I'm being very honest with you. Failure. And I always say that the structure of success stands on made out of bricks called failures, which are held together with a mortar of persistence. Each failure.
Can you give us an anecdote of this one time when you thought, God save me?
Oh yes, many times. That's how you come close to the God. We are Sikhs. There is one saying in our Dukh daru sukh rupya. Daru means medicine. And when dukh comes in your life, it is a medicine which you need for the disease you come when you're in good times. Sukh rupya. Jahan sukh tam na hoi. When in your good times you forget him. Dukh daru sukh rupya. Jahan sukh tam na hoi. So if there's something goes wrong with you, it's definitely this phase has to come to you.
And what helped you? How did you?
Persistence. Persistence. In my school days, I read 2 books repeatedly, and they had a very great impact in the formation of my personality. One was Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And the second was How to Influence People by Dale Carnegie.
Excellent books, actually.
At one time, I remembered those books by heart. By heart. I read them so many times. And I practiced every bit of it, whatever was written. Persistence was a chapter in that book.
In Think and Grow Rich. And how much do you think luck matters?
Let me explain to you. It's like this. You're in a very, very large ship like a city or a village. What you do is like what you do in the ship. In which direction the ship goes is your destiny. You are in the ship. Ship is going from London through Atlantic to New York. But inside the ship, you're going sometimes here, sometimes to the swimming pool, sometimes to the dining room, sometimes you study. So both go together, hand in hand.
That's a very interesting analogy, actually. I must say it got me thinking. So going back to your, when you started your business as you're a first generation entrepreneur, how was that phase like for you? Did you have any, work-life balance? These days there's a big talk about work-life balance.
No question of work-life balance. It was passion. Passion for work.
What about your family?
Family came later in life. I married late.
But then I'm
My
sure...
parents, my mother and father both encouraged hard work. It was given that we have not to be dissuaded from doing hard work. They always appreciated and encouraged us that if you're working hard, if you wake up early, you leave early, if you come late, mom will be waiting outside. But she will never say that don't come late. Why are you working like this? There is a purpose. Never.
Do you still live like that?
Fortunately, my wife also encourages me to work.
That's good.
Fortunately, she doesn't bother.
But this current generation, the newer generation, they really believe in work-life balance.
Why not? Why not? They are privileged. They are next generation. They are better equipped. Actually, the whole process is carried out to achieve happiness.
True.
Sometimes, while carrying out the process, we lose happiness. Sometimes we overdo it. Sometimes we ignore family. Sometimes we suffer because of that. Sometimes we become over-ambitious and try to take shortcuts, which I call deviating from the character.
So do you think the newer generation,
is definitely superior to us, indeed, in all aspects.
Is it? Because a lot of older generation people say the newer generation is a pain and they don't understand the struggle.
I watched the generation of my grandparents, then my parents, then I watched ourselves, then I watched my next generation. I think with every generation there is a growth.
And when you were talking about, having that, conscience, having that conscience is very important.
Everybody has conscience, but whether you listen to it or not.
Were you like this, when you were in college, or were you like that typical, stereotypical?
No, the character
IIT?
started building up from the second year onwards. I stayed in college for 6 years.
Were you that stereotypical IITian, nerdy, very hyper-focused?
Yes.
You were?
I always say that IITians don't know how to laugh. And they are good only for working. They can work for others and for themselves. But there are many things which they lack.
Did you learn how to laugh then?
Yes and no, both. Not as much as I should.
Yeah.
Certainly, I.
Yeah, you were talking about conscience. And for example, Central Park, right? As a developer, you make promises, like you say that your commitment begins after delivery.
No, I wouldn't say that. I didn't say that.
Okay.
I didn't say it. I said my commitment is from the day one.
Day one, even after
But
delivery.
my relationship begins after the delivery.
And in an industry where, to be honest,
Yeah, people say, oh, I have delivered, I have fulfilled my agreement, and let me move on. For we're different, little different. And I can't say in the long run we are right or totally right. But so far it has given us good dividends. Rate of growth is little slow, but no problem. Brand equity is building up very fast.
and that is extremely important.
Everything is important. Everything is important. If I live in a good house, then I have to make sure that whatever house I build in should give the same type of living. Even when economical weaker sections, which we have to construct necessarily, I make sure that each little tiny apartment must get sunlight, must get cross ventilation, must not have seepage, must have clear water, must be very well finished. Even that I make sure because that's what I like. And mind is very clear that if there is ever a communism and I have to go in that apartment, I should live there happily.
Any buyer watching it right now would think, where are you? This is like my dream house.
Actually, for example, this serviced apartment, this EWS in Central Park 1, which we sold for maybe 1 lakh or whatever. Today they sold for 1.5 crores.
Sure.
So, what's wrong with it in the sense that if you do a good job, it will always give you a satisfaction. Doing a good job is a reward in itself. Don't worry about who uses it. If you make good food, somebody is eating it, you can't eat the total
I
dish.
agree with you. But then people from different industries, they say, we want to deliver good stuff, right? But then that is where, management, profit making, this and that kicks in. How does one balance that then?
There's no balance. You have to do a good job. And you have to do a good job. There are companies whom we want to emulate. There's a company called Shobha.
Yeah.
There is another company called Ashiana.
Okay.
They make middle income group, but I respect them, the way they do their job. You see, food in the dhaba can also be very delicious, and sometimes food in the 5-star may not be to your satisfaction.
When did you realize this? A lot of people realize this after, getting into the business, almost failing.
It's not realizing. Journey begins with self.
True.
Self. It begins self, and you don't do anything for others. If you do a good job, you're doing it for self. If you're writing a letter with clean handwriting, it pleases you. If you write good prose, it delights yourself, then the person who goes through it, and the person who rereads it, the person who retains it. So, this is a fragrance all the way for a good work.
I actually want you to narrate this particular story, which I've heard about you when you were road contracting, I think. And then I want you to narrate it when you said, we'll do the maintenance bit.
No, it's like this, that we were new.
Yeah.
And they will not give us the contract. They said, you are inexperienced, you are young boys, and it's a very important work. One of the roads at which we are doing is going to be constructed in front of Mrs. Indira Gandhi's house. Okay. It's very important. And those days the roads used to wear off very quickly. I said, we'll give you a guarantee for 5 years. They said, what guarantee? People give guarantee and then they find faults with the opposite party. Then there is a letter writing, then litigation. I said, no, we'll give you free maintenance for 5 years. So that clause...
That was unheard of, right? At that time?
No, that was new. So it was recorded, we gave free maintenance, and we had to spend not a single rupee for 5 years. Now then, this clause became a standard clause throughout the country. Free maintenance for 5 years. The road quality has drastically improved. Now potholes, etc. is a rare phenomenon. In our boyhood, childhood, it was every day, everywhere. On every rainy season, there used to be potholes.
How did you feel when you got that
No, it's
contract?
not that. This is a history, and this is, as you go along, things keep happening. Every day is a new episode, good, bad, pleasant, unpleasant. You have to encounter corruption. There's several forms of corruption. In your own field, you come across people who are doing better jobs than you.
I think people often cover up jealousy by calling it competition, right, rather than inspiration.
You see, competition is like this, that when the customer is given an option to choose, that is called competition. Now, when he has an option, you have to work hard to please him.
Yes.
So who is most important is the customer. What matters to him, you have to strive to make it better and better and better. And yet, he wants to pay you less money for a better product. And companies who have perfected this. We have seen this company, Toyota, given a better product than Mercedes at a lesser price.
Yes.
So companies work harder and things keep improving. Keep improving. There's no end.
So how did you then end up from, not change, but evolve from road contracting to...
You see, as a young boy, I wanted to get into industry. Road construction was a construction work, a contractor's work. Contractor was taken differently, but industry was taken differently. At that time, it was license Raj.
Correct.
And people had to take a license. And it was very difficult to get into industry. And small scale industry was there. But industry was always very exciting for me.
Also in movies, Singhania and Singhania Industries and Kapoor Industries, and it just made it look so glamorous and inspirational.
So, moved to the industry, and difficult time establishing it.
During the License Raj era, you're saying?
It was License Raj. 10 years later, the License Raj finished. This I'm talking early 80s. When I started industries. In 70s, I started my business. Early 70s.
And you started from Delhi? Or?
Only in Delhi. Then we went to make airports all over the country. Ultimately, we made 42 airports. Not full airports, but the airstrip. We made Khajuraho Airport, Varanasi Airport, and then Gaya Airport, then Kullu Buntar Airport, then Jorhat, then so on, one after the other, then it went on. Then I moved to the industry. In the meanwhile, this construction company is still alive and doing very well. One of the largest, being looked after and owned by my younger brother.
How were you juggling? At that time, you didn't have internet like that, like how it is today.
No, not only internet. We didn't have telephony. Telephone was... For example, when I put up the industry, there was no telephone there. And it was very difficult. Then we worked hard to get some line, and we had to wait for a few hours to get a connection, to get the telephone.
And then people used to have phone in the neighbor's house, like one person
that
had a phone.
That happened with us also.
Yeah.
That's how it gave building to our character. We were living in a big building and we were the one who were having telephone. And there were 10, 12 other apartments in that multi-story who didn't have phone. So if the phone came for somebody, we were encouraged that we have to go, shout, let them come, and then they will take 7, 8, 10 minutes. By the time they reach, then they will come attend the phone.
Did the incoming call also cost money at that time?
No.
No, not on landline, right? Yeah.
No income. Only dialing was costing.
But then people were so accepting and, open like that.
You see, things were different that time. When the television came, people used to come from everywhere to our house. And we used to welcome. There's nothing wrong with it. So this I'm talking 60s. Then in 50s, there was a radio, which was not in everybody's house. Most of the houses were having, but not all homes.
Do you think that's why people growing up in that era learned how to share?
For example, in IIT Delhi, I remember very well, we didn't have fans in our house. We never felt bad about it.
In the hostels?
In the hostel. Never felt bad about it. Never. And winters were very severe winters.
And then no laundry rooms? You had to do your own laundry and all of that?
No. There was a proper daily basis. The dhobi used to come.
Acha, yes. Pehle the dhobis used to come, correct?
Daily.
Acha, daily.
And very nominal price. And so every day he used to come and every day it used to come back. Very good. Very good mess. We were treated very well in IIT. All our professors were from England, Britishers.
Was it as difficult to get in IIT at that time?
You see, in our times, we used to find it's very difficult. Then as I keep watching, I find that it is still difficult, not easy. But now there are many IITs. But people are also more.
At that time, there were 5.
There were only 30 persons in one class and one discipline. Total 150 in a year. Now there are more.
115?
150.
150.
In a batch, which consisted of 5 disciplines. Electrical, mechanical, civil, then textile.
And how many ladies at that time?
In the whole college, about 5 or 6. But now, percentage has gone up. Very substantial. Very substantial.
And do you see it in your businesses as well? The involvement of women?
I find that women are very competent. And they are equally corrupt in the bureaucracy. And they're not less than anybody.
It's so interesting because there's this book. It's by this professor. And she's an expert on feminist theories.
But they're hardworking, more hardworking. They bring better results in academics. And they will be more IAS officers in the future and IPS officers in the future.
So administrative roles.
Administrative roles. Even now they are becoming very substantial numbers as pilots, which nobody could dream of. Previously, it was nurses and teachers only. Now they are in every field, even in the infantry, in the army. They are not shy of anything. They are becoming astronauts. They proved one point that it's not an inferior gender.
Also, I think early access to education, now it's more common and normal.
Many things. First of all, the society curbed them. They were child-producing machines. And their job was to look after home. And they have to look after the man. This was just like 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Not many decades ago. Just 50, 60 years ago. Pati, Parameshwar, things like that. Now she says, who are you? First of all, no human being has a right to misbehave with other human being.
Oh, Of course not. But I'm saying things
And
like
both are equal. They must learn to form friendship. And there is no set rule that.
but I'm talking in context of, for example, asking questions like, why should I cook? I think cooking is a life skill which both genders or any human.
She says, why should I cook? Perfect. She's got right, but she has to work somewhere. If she goes to the office, and he also goes to the office,
Yes.
and then come back home, and she's expected to cook, and he's there to watch TV, no.
Of course not.
Then it's no. Then,
No, because
then they
now-
can divide the work. Like I go for shopping, you do the cooking, I'll do the dishes.
Yes.
It's understandable.
Balanced. Yes. That is exactly what I was talking about as well.
Man is not superior. Unless he behaves superior. That he protects her, he gives her better comfort, he makes sure he provides enough and takes care of everything in the family and the outside world. It's a jurisdiction. It is division of duties in a different way.
I think they are both different and they have.
Plus, woman also does a heavy job of producing children. It's a very, very difficult job. First children, and bear the child in the womb. Then when the child comes out, how to look after the child for the first 7-8 years.
It's tough.
Not a joke. It's not a joke. If somebody thinks that he has a right to misbehave with her, talk to her loudly or shout at her, it's absurdly.
Do you want to talk about your work in Iran?
Yes, I have a lot to say about that country and the Iranian people. First of all, I never felt that they were staunch Muslims. They knew how to accept people from the other religion very well. Secondly, what was most extraordinary about them is their hygiene. The cumulative character of an Iranian is very high. The cumulative. Then their health is very, very good. The looks are better. Overall hygiene in the complete cities, villages, wherever you go, is remarkable. Then country is lucky in itself because they got so much of oil, resources, weather, water, and fruits.
And Taruf. You know, even when you have to pay them, they don't accept it. They're very courteous
mannerism.
about it. Yes.
Mannerism.
Yes.
This is a very extraordinary country, extraordinary people.
And how
People are
was
right.
business there?
Business-wise, they are... first of all, I tell you, I've been doing business in that country for so many years. But I've not lost $1. Not $1. That people have not misbehaved with me in any form. So it speaks a lot.
So what do they do which is so different from Indians?
First of all, their numbers are less. Resources are more. Inherent wealth is there by way of oil. Climatically, they are better off. Their looks are better because of that. They are fortunate also. And also good human beings. Good-looking men and women.
Iranians, very good looking. And what are the challenges that you face there? Any challenges?
You see, they came from the developed world to the mullah's world, and which was curbing the women. Yet women was outshining men, and then the sanctions were imposed on them. Technology was not easily available to them. Yet they were growing very, very steadily. Their infrastructure development was extraordinary.
Architecture, beautiful.
Architecture, a particular type, like our Taj Mahal, etc.
Like Isfahan,
Isfahan and Shiraz and many places.
So gorgeous. You've traveled all around the world. What is your favorite city?
There are many cities that way. I'll say London probably takes the cake.
Why is that?
We are Indians, and it's an English-speaking country. Hygiene levels are very high. Weather is very good. And
Cold.
quality of everything around you is far superior. Pollution is minimal. Metro or underground is very impressive. And every day is not a challenge. Every day is a fun. There's so much to see in terms of museums, in terms of places, in terms of gardens, parks, and drama.
And what is the other city? So,
Then there are many cities. Now China also has got many nice cities. But before China, it was Hong Kong was very impressive.
yeah.
Then
Hong Kong reminds me of London.
less, much less. Weather-wise, little less,
I think they emulate London.
because they were controlled by them. That
Did you ever think of a city and thought, India should do this. India should have this thing that this city has.
no, that way, if you go to many cities in the US, one is better than another. Indeed.
And your work is in your real estate business.
Real
Also-
estate is now. Before that, I was doing so much of industrial work. I had to travel a lot to the US, from city to city.
And how was that? Long flights.
Long flights, but then I was young and I used to enjoy that, and I went from place to place, met people, exported. I was very keen to export because country was not exporting. And,
What did you export?
engine cylinder heads. Very difficult component, very difficult. But somehow I made a mark there.
But imagine starting it now. Imagine you had to start your business now.
Things will be more far superior.
Superior?
You see, in our time, we used to, from a dry sand, we used to crush it to get a drop of water. Now it's full of opportunities. Everything is an opportunity. You touch anything, it's an opportunity. Market is not a problem.
With the-
Starting with food,
Abundance of food, clothing, everything.
clothing, variety, retailing, real estate, highways,
When you have so many
IT.
options, don't you feel life was simpler then? Because even though you didn't have a lot of options,
You see, can't
At
say
least-
that. For example,
yeah.
you may say it's simpler, but if I lost somebody, now we have got a telephone. It's so easy to locate a person.
Yeah.
At that time, you're lost is lost is lost is lost. Then the only way is that wherever you met him last, you go to that point. Wait there till he or she comes here. Look at the amount of problem. And if you go from point A to B by train, air was rare. Not all destinations were covered. One flight a day was a very big thing.
So did you realize at that time the privileges that you had earned or you had?
No, if you just went along, what to do? What to do? When we went to the US, I'm talking of 1978, I saw that flights, the roads, the highways, the greenery, the malls, everything was new ahead of us.
And then when you would come back to India, from there, how
Then
would
you
you?
suddenly accept, like a man living in the city goes back to the village, and he still likes the village for a number of reasons.
So why didn't you ever think of moving to, for example?
I did.
You did?
It so happened in 1984, there were riots,
Oh.
and our house was burnt because after the assassination of Mrs. Gandhi's, we are 6.
Okay.
So our house was totally burnt, and we were very much affected in more than many ways. Fortunately, we didn't lose any life. Then we all moved to the US. All.
Didn't you feel hatred towards the country?
No. Then I stayed there for a while, came back because I realized this is my country. And that's how I said I must move with the mainstream. Then my father insisted that we must take out the turban and become like others.
Must have been very hard.
My parents continued to live there in the US. They were then later on American citizens, and they died as American citizens. Only in the last few years they came to India. India has its own many plus points.
So, any advice for people like that? How to let go? It's tough.
No, you can't advise. It happens. You see the our
positive.
case was different. We didn't lose any life. If I had lost a life, the amount of grief and revenge would have been much more. We simply lost material which we built up very quickly. And at the same time, there was a lot of sympathy around us. It was frenzy only for a short while, like 1, 2 or 3 days. But thereafter, people were very good to each other.
So you came back from America and restarted everything. You went to IIT Delhi, 150 students per batch at the time, very rare. You were, highly educated, good family, everything. Why did you get married late?
Some people in our batches, they got married immediately.
Okay.
Some people.
That was the norm at that time.
Yes and no, both. I didn't want to marry early.
And then life happened.
Maybe I thought that I've yet to achieve something and then get married. And maybe I'll get a better girl.
These days, people are really struggling with, getting married.
Both ways,
boys and girls both. What do you think? I mean,
it's like this. At a young age, the young age is like 20 for the boys and 16, 17, 18 for the girls. Whoever you marry to, level of acceptability is very high. You straightway accept.
You have to accept, you're saying?
No, not accept. You do accept.
You do accept.
Like, give you an even better example. We are born to parents. Whoever they are, we have accepted them. We don't say that my father is dark, my mother is short, or her nose is not as good as it should be.
Yeah.
Mother is mother, father is father. We accepted them. Early marriages, level of acceptance was much higher because of younger age. As you grow, you become judgmental. You form judgments. He should be like this and she should be like this. She should have done this. She should speak in a particular manner. She should sit in a particular manner. She should do this and that. He should be this. How can total expect? Therefore, more compromise.
Then there is this other angle, which I feel is the parents of girls are very accepting. Previously, if the girl chose to leave the relationship, the society and parents at large...
It's not that. First of all, girls are more competent than before. They are capable of looking after themselves. They are not dependent as much. In the past, they were total liability. And if they leave the home, come back home to the parents' house, then she will be there as their liability. She can't go out and work because she's the stigma. People will observe her in a different way. And then she was like, everybody will make an attempt on her. Things were very difficult to protect her. Then if there is a child, who will take care of the family? Prosperity levels are low. Now girls are adequate. Parents are ready to accept them because they are themselves. They're not liabilities.
not now, but
At that time they were. You
Yeah.
couldn't afford to have them back. They were advised to compromise and continue. जैसा भी है आगे चलो. तुम्हारे पास ऑप्शन कोई नहीं है to come back.
but this attitude of the younger generation, you know how they're very picky, does that also
They
seep
are more
into the
better. They are more equipped.
as you said, yes.
Attitude नहीं है. They're more equipped. And how can he misbehave with his wife? And she's also equally competent.
True. So you launched Central Park 1 in 2001 and it sold like this. जहाँ तक मैंने
So
पढ़ा
much,
है.
but yeah, relatively.
What did you see that others didn't?
I didn't know. First of all, we took a very reputed project manager. We watched them, how they were doing this. The second project we did ourselves.
अच्छा.
And wherever they went wrong, we made sure that we didn't do any wrong thing there.
So hire a good project manager.
No. To start with, go slow. Learn the ropes.
Yeah.
Project manager is not the only thing. We didn't have time also. We wanted to get into it. We were busy in our respected fields.
And you are a bit of a visionary. In terms of sauna, for example, nobody, I think, you were the only one who actually saw the potential of sauna.
Things clicked. Don't give credit to me.
That is very humble of you.
नहीं, your reality है.
What did Gurgaon do? Because it has one of the highest real estates in India. What are the things that Gurgaon did right?
You see, Gurgaon was gifted because of the airport. It's very, very close to.
Oh, right.
It started with that. Secondly, the other close place was Noida, where law and order was a problem. So these two things. But infrastructure of Gurgaon continues to be poor. It's a dirty city. Local administration is poor and corrupt. Compare it with Noida. Beautiful infrastructure. And now that law and order has been controlled, the growth is much steeper compared to Gurgaon. And they've got their own airport now, Jewar Airport. Next 5 years is only for Noida.
So the one city that you would place your bets on?
Thinking of Goa very soon.
So you've expanded to Goa now?
Yes, we want to expand in a big way. Goa. It's a very good retirement place and second home and city free from pollution.
Some questions about, your daily routine, for example. You are very fit. What is a typical day in your life look like?
Typical day is like this, that I wake up around 6 o'clock. First 1 hour is for gratitude only towards the Almighty.
Prayer.
Types of prayers. And then drinking water, etc. It begins with exercises for about 45 minutes. Interrupted. In between the call comes, I take it. My trainer also cooperates very well. We laugh around and do many things. And then I'm ready with my first meeting around 10:30.
Okay.
So then it goes up till 2 or so. Then I take my lunch and then like to sleep for 2 hours.
Fiesta.
Summer or winter. So that gives me the benefit for the second day, equally fresh. Then I work for another 5 hours.
In the evening.
In the
You sleep.
I don't like late nights. For that matter, I'm not social. I find that I always say that you can pick up any 2 out of the 3. You can't have all 3. One is success, good health, and late night.
The obvious choice to eradicate.
Take any
this.
2, but can't have all 3.
So you sleep early.
I won't say sleep early. It's 10:30, 11. Which is not so early. But I get up at 6. 11, 11:30 I speak, sometimes till 12.
So are you at home? Are you MD Sahab or?
No, nobody is. No. We are, you see, we got so many of help. but they're very loving to each other, full of respect for everyone, and between themselves also. And we have got a mess here for 56 persons, and their food is more delicious than us. And they have got 21 meals in a week. No meal is repeated, and very often we get food from them.
So at this age, are you on a strict diet or
No.
you indulge?
Indulging is once in a while, little bit, but no, I will not
But
say
you
that.
are Sikh, Sikhs
No,
drink
I-
lassis and
that-
parathas and...
No, that is not. Little bit. Like on Sundays, it's a routine that bhaturas are made.
You have it only on Sunday.
Everybody's at home is very food conscious.
Okay.
What should go inside the body is...
But did you realize it now or you realized
No,
it
it
early
has
on?
been building up.
Ah.
Building up.
If you were to meet your younger self, what is that advice that you would give?
I would have gone to the gym much earlier, which I didn't do.
You know what's funny? A lot of my guests have said this.
What tell it?
And any advice to our viewers?
I will only say that if they are all Indians, they are very fortunate.
Why is that?
You see, when we are younger, prosperity was less. So when you moved to the other country, overnight, you became prosperous. You could afford a good job, live in a good house, eat good food, and within a short while you will get a car. It's very exciting to start with. But the same people who have become old now, they are relatively lonely. Their children are alien to them because they are not Indians. They don't want to come back to this country. The children have no time for them. They regret having gone there. This country is full of opportunities.
That makes me want
It's a
to...
country of pollution. It is country of this. It's country of this. So many bad things. Yet, it's a country with a lot of warmth. With very, very low budget, you can live very good life.
It's a communitarian country as well.
Sum total, many, many, many things. Which is only for Indians. India is not good for Britishers or for any other country. Good for Indians. For Indians, India is the best country.
You just said something, and I just wanted to ask this last question. Any regrets in life and any retirement plans?
You know, if you love your work, why will you like to retire?
I agree.
If you are tired, then you retire. If you're not tired, you are healthy, and your work keeps you enthralled, you don't work for money. I know that how people feel very lucky when they get selected in IAS and IPS. But at the age of 60, when they retire, they long for an extension for 6 months, 9 months, 1 year.
They do.
And it's pity to see how they hanker for extension. Fully competent, ripe, healthy, ready to work, love to work, and government tells them, please go back.
Yeah. They're a bit sad.
It's generally sad. They're young, healthy, at the age of 60, capable of producing a child, starting a family afresh, starting a career, and they're told that go back home.
There is this village in Japan you must have heard of, where there are people aged, I think 120 years of age as well. And there, when somebody is celebrating their 80th birthday, they call him a child. Have you heard of this?
No, I've not heard.
They're called centenarians. And the whole village is full of really old people who are living their best life. And as you said, at 60, they're still young, but then a lot of people, they make you feel old.
When you are made to retire at the age of 60, actually it's a dhoka with them. There's no age to retire.
Any regrets?
It's like complaining to God. No. The many things he gave, the many things he snatched, the many things he deprived, the many things he didn't give. But yet many, many, many things he gave. Starting with a family, a body, 2 eyes, ears, health, good food, good bed to sleep at night. Many things he gave. Many, many, many.
I think it's that positive outlook which makes a leader who he is, and a good leader.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.